So now they're on their way to saying we as Americans should all share sacrifice. Bullshit. Like, I'm not sharing nothing, no more sacrificing. I'm going to share with Paulson or Bernanke or Alan Greenspan's sacrifice? Like, you know, now, well, those people, they didn't read the paperwork, i.e. black people are stupid. We shouldn't have given them loans. You know, as opposed to saying in 2001, you have black groups all over this country saying this is predatory lending. In 2001, I was working in Central Brooklyn Partnership with Mark Winston Griffith, who's working over at Drum Major Institute now. Mark, in 2000, when he hired me, said the next 10 years is going to be about financial literacy and this predatory lending. NEDAP, Neighborhood Economic Assistance Group, NEDAP. My friend Kat Aaron, reform producer, wake-up call. In 2003, when I met her, she said, you see everybody buying these houses in Brooklyn? They're going to be gone in 5 years. It's predatory lending. And then my sister, my mom co-signed a loan of a predatory lending loan with my sister to buy her a house in Vegas. And I knew all the information. My mom still signed that loan because she was so afraid she didn't sign it right there or it's signed for the mortgage that Janita, my others, would never get a house. And my parents were like, do you want one? I'm like, I'm good. Like, nah, because I don't want you guys yelling at me in 5 years when it all falls apart. And now my sister and 7 of my cousins in Vegas have all lost their homes in the last 3 months. Luckily, we have stability in our family. We're huge. Everybody, thank God, will be okay. But that's not the majority of the people in this country. And then lastly, on the subprime mortgage thing, what's also been happening coupled with that, and New York is the best place to study this, is gentrification and affordable housing. And that's the conversation that we as Greens have to be pushing. Yes, we have to say what's going on Wall Street and the Dow and all that, but the thing is, look at all the attack on affordable housing laws all over this country in the same time that the subprime mortgage mess has been happening. There's not only people losing their houses, most black and Latino people still didn't have a house. Most poor whites still didn't have a house. Most Asians. It's now that people can't afford their rents. So what we're seeing is like, what's that thing when everything is literally, not implosion, but it's all coming together because what we're seeing is just massive amount of people now literally being homeless, right? Not having shelter, you know, and as a fundamental human right, that is a human right, right? Shelter is a human right. That's not a responsibility, that's a human right, you know, and that's how the Green Party comes to the table. I think everybody could read the Green Party platform and everybody would agree with everything. I don't have a doubt about that. I think the problem now lies with riding out this wave of particularly Obamamania and getting ready for the day after the election, whoever gets up in there. Because I'm clear from reading my history and talking to my elders that this now becomes a multi-generational problem that we're going to have to solve and fix. And that's why I'm happy that Cynthia picked me, because I think she made a good decision in this sense. That I've been an organizer. I'm still relatively young, not obviously youth, you know, in that sense. But I've been out there, and one thing I can do is bridge the gap, particularly between, and my work around African American, Latino unity. I really hate that because I consider myself obviously a black person, a black Puerto Rican. But this idea of unity, and actually that's going to be so necessary now because we all know that when this starts to come down, it's going to be the elite class that stays all right, and it's going to be the working class that's fighting each other. So we're going to see mass racial violence increasing in young people. It's already been happening to many Latinos in Pennsylvania, where white kids are just mad and they think Mexicans are taking their jobs, so they're beating up kids. And this is the second guy that they beat up and killed in Pennsylvania, and these kids haven't been indicted. And then I wonder if they should be indicted, because they're 17 and they've been living, particularly in the last 8 years, of so much rhetoric and xenophobic hatred towards particularly Latinos. They're literally acting out what the TV and Lou Dobbs is saying in a nice way with words. But what that rhetoric and xenophobia is being ratcheted up. We even see that particularly with Senator Barack Obama in this sense, that at the end of the day, he is clearly the Democratic Party. He's a leader. He's our competition. But one thing me and Cynthia are not going to do is allow racist behavior towards him. Just like no matter how much I disagreed with Hillary Clinton, anytime I was on a show and a man wanted to make fun of her ankles, I hung up. It's unacceptable. I'm going to debate people based on policy, not race and gender. And that's even something that we need to put out there. Just like in 2004 when the Green Party was the first party to sue in Ohio, yes. Right? And there weren't a lot of Green votes that got counted. But Bob and them in Ohio said, no matter what, if we truly believe in democracy as a principle of the Green Party, we are going to fight to make sure every vote is counted, whether we win or lose. That's the principle and ethical and democratic thing to do. That's why in 2008, we'll be probably there, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida, potentially probably with the Independent Party, getting ready to sue those count the votes. Because it's been only the Green Party that's been pretty clear on what this election theft could look like in either direction, but particularly the fact that there's so much voting irregularity out there. And as young people, we have to also be ready to embrace that cynicism when young people get turned away at the polls, which it will happen. When young black men go to vote, particularly maybe for Barack Obama, and are said, you're a felon. Here's your provisional ballot. You never registered to vote. You don't have the right ID. So even those people that are not going to vote green, with the voter irregularities that are going to happen, we are ready, and we have to be ready to embrace all those people that will finally be like, I'm done. I did it in 2004. You didn't count my vote. 2000, 2004, 2008. You know, and I think that time is right here, and it's right now. So, you know, we'll keep pushing forward because that's what we're supposed to do. And it's a struggle, but that's what we're supposed to be doing. And that's how resistance gets built. And, you know, like, just to close up, I was on the phone last week doing a radio interview in D.C. Jared Ball has a show there, and Amiri Baraka was on. And if anybody has read lately Amiri Baraka's attack against Cynthia and me, you know, you get to the point where you're like, I respect you, but you've lost your mind. And you're so rabid that you sound incoherent and so bitter at this point. And when I was on the show with him, he kept saying, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your time. The masses of the people aren't with you. The masses of the people aren't with you. And I was like, and the masses of the people weren't with Harriet Tubman, and they weren't with Sojourner, and they weren't with Nat Turner, and they weren't with Malcolm, and they weren't with Martin, they weren't with Cesar Chavez. It's amazing, like now McDonald's praises Cesar Chavez when they were trying to destroy that movement in the 50s. You know, the same thing with sanitizing Malcolm. I mean, you even have the Democratic nominee. How many times has he used Malcolm's line, hoodwinked, bamboozled? You know, it's okay for him to use that line, but it's not okay for him to ever say the word black. You know, and you think about, I think about David Gilbert from the Weather Underground. You know, I think about Marilyn Buck. Like, I think about, in this time, our PPs. Because obviously the state saw them as the most dangerous of who we are, of resistors. To the point where 40 years later, Jalil is still in jail. Herman is still in jail. We're losing PPs. You know, we just lost Bashir. So that's why, you know, it's not hard to do the work. I think what's hard right now is how are we going to identify who really in this country is progressive and left.